ladies and gents, to another episode of Fit Beyond 40. Today I have dragged Greg back. I wanted to talk about food and overall health, and also as you get older, how your health almost overtakes your aesthetics priority. I mean, when you're younger, you'll want to look good, look a certain way, and then for me, it was having kids, and then kind of changed. I want to be more healthy, and then the way you look is kind of a byproduct of. Yeah, if that makes sense. But we're going to talk. Well, we're going to talk processed food. We're going to talk about alcohol. We're going to talk about the glucose queen.
Yes,
as well.
And
all sorts of stuff. So let's dive in there. Greg, to remind you, is 51 years old, isn't you?
Yes.
Still keep fit.
Yes.
Yeah, and still do a mixture of stuff, which is quite good.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you've got boxing past.
Yeah, so obviously boxing was my main sport for 30 years. I still shadow box and do that. Wrists knackered now, so even sparring. This is the longest I've not sparred for. I don't think I've had a spar for 18 months, maybe 2 years now since the last time I actually put the gum shield in and traded punches. But I still try and hit the bag lightly. I've got a bag at home, so I still do that. Bit of skipping, shadow boxing, pretty much every day. I usually use it as a warm up, and that's it. The occasional game of football still, if I can run around just about. Without my hamstring or my calf popping.
That's the only thing as you get older, the injuries.
Yeah, I think for me, it's running was always a good thing. I always ran, and that I find really hard. I've got a bit of plantar fasciitis for the last year, so that stopped me running. So I've been trying to do alternatives. So I started swimming, been going to Hampton Pool, open air pool, swimming there, and then doing the lake at Shepperton. Obviously, it's getting a bit colder now, and that will shut. Just give myself different challenges, bike rides, hikes. Just, not so much competitive, which I miss. It's the competing I actually miss.
Boxing?
Yeah, just competing full stop against, somebody else.
Testing yourself, if you like. Yeah,
totally. But yeah, just trying to do different things. And then in the gym, probably 3-4 times. Well, in the gym, probably 4 or 5 times a week at the moment.
Okay, so you're getting in there a lot because your kids are grown up now, aren't they?
Yeah.
At a point where you get a bit more time to work on yourself and stuff. And we talked about it last time, how your kids have kind of almost flourished sport-wise because they saw what you were doing.
Yeah, totally.
Growing up, you were constantly, I've seen videos of you sparring with the kids and using pads and stuff. So they kind of grew up in an environment where, not necessarily boxing, but sport, they could see you doing sport.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like I said before, and the other one, they'd see me get up and, I'm going for a run. And they'd see me get up, go out the house, go for a run, come back. Or I'd be in the garage, like I said, I had a bag and all that set up, and it'd be late at night and I'd be skipping and hitting the bag. And then now my boy's older, he comes to the gym with me. So he's been going to the gym for about the last 2 years.
That's brilliant.
So he's like, now he just goes to the gym on his own. Whether I'm going or not, or he goes with his mates. Or he goes on his own, like half term. He was up at 7 a.m. every morning because he had stuff to do in the day. And he was getting up early and doing the gym.
That's brilliant. That is.
So yeah, getting it done.
No, it's good. It's good to instill that.
Yeah, and I think that comes from an early age.
Because they see that as a norm. It's not something special. It's your everyday routine, so they see it as norm. Right, let's talk about food. Because this is a massive subject. And the reason I've got Greg on here is because there's loads of advice from different experts out there. We all kind of know what we should be eating and what we shouldn't be eating. And there's a lot of experts giving their advice on different topics, on processed foods, different foods, sugar, etc. But what about the everyday person? What about, how does it affect the everyday person? It's great having this advice, but how do you implement and incorporate that sort of eating into a general everyday person? So let's listen to Greg. Let's find out because you do try and eat healthy, don't you? Every time I speak to you, you are trying. So how hard is it to incorporate kind of single ingredient, real food? Because as a nation, well, probably as a Western world, we have gone convenience over health.
Yeah, totally.
Everything's about convenience. Everything's want it now.
Yeah.
If you look back when we were younger, you're a little bit older than me. I'll just say that. You're a little bit older than me. But when we go back younger, but you never went into a supermarket. They never had meal deals.
No.
If you wanted a sandwich, you'd make it at home.
Yeah.
And take it as a packed lunch.
Yeah.
There weren't like meal. You got crisps and stuff around, but there wasn't this desire to ship out quick, available, fast food. I think there was a Wimpy and McDonald's when I was growing up. McDonald's came late. But generally there wasn't that much choice. So even if you wanted a pizza, you'd make it at home.
Yeah.
If you wanted a burger, you'd make it at home.
Yeah.
But the food choices we have now are, mate, they're relentless. Especially if you live in a city, they're absolutely relentless. And it seems to be all about convenience over health.
We don't even have to get out of your house now.
We don't have to leave your house.
You get Uber Eats comes to your house.
Exactly.
And the amount of people that do that. So you're not even getting up to go to the shop to use some exercise.
Yeah.
You know, it's back to the old caveman. You have to go out, earn your food. You know, we don't do that at all. There's little hacks you can do. Again, well, perfectly what you said. I'd say my weakest part of me is not sticking to it. I wouldn't say a diet, but I know what I should be eating and I know what I shouldn't be eating, and I'm almost addicted to the sugar.
Yeah.
And not just even if I cut out chocolate or sweets, which I find very hard to do. I'm not so much as sweets, but chocolate I find very hard. Biscuits, especially if I have a cup of tea. But just food, just white bread, you know, pasta, like all the things I know I shouldn't eat. I really, really struggle with it. I can get up and train no matter what state I'm in, no matter how tired I am. I've got the discipline to do that, but I really struggle. I mean, actually, you yourself have been a bit of an inspiration to me at work. I know how you've stopped your diets, you've cut out your carbs, and you've stuck to it. And I find that really hard. Like, how have you done that?
It is really hard.
How have you done it? And I don't understand how I can be so determined and disciplined with my training and not with my diet. And I know it's my diet that's aesthetically letting me down. I think if you had a goal, if you're going for bodybuilding, or boxing was a good example because you had to eat well because you had to get your body fat down, and there's no way to hide. 6 weeks time, you got to fight, bang. Whereas now, a bit like you said, you get comfortable. I've got my kids, you got your missus, you got, you know, so you're a bit more comfortable. You're not really out trying to look great in the sun and the six pack because you're not trying to attract anyone. So all that comes into it. I think the ones that hit me now is more if my kids start to say, "Oh, shut up, fatty, what are you talking about? Oh, you big belly." Blah, blah, blah. So that sort of flicks me to think, screw you.
I'll show you.
And that's what I think the key to all this is it's more what you need to find out. The answer is how to keep good habits, or how to.
We talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah. What is the key to that? That is for me is key. Because I know it, I know what I should and shouldn't be eating, and I find it very hard.
I think definitely when I listen to people, and food seems to be the major obstacle. People can train. People are getting out there to do their walks, whatever. They're reading books, you know, trying to make themselves feel better in their mind and physically. But the food seems to be the biggest obstacle. And I personally, from what I hear from the feedback, it's either time. People haven't said they haven't got the time to prepare. They haven't got the time to take the time to shop and find better quality food. And as you said, the hidden sugars. I mean, so it's been since June now, since I've given up. I gave up all processed food and all sugar. It's probably one of the hardest things I've done.
Yeah, well, it's got to be.
And especially having kids in the house, because the kids still eat bread.
Yeah.
The kids will eat certain things. But honestly, after the first, I think the 10 to 14 days were horrendous. And I didn't have a sweet tooth. Like yourself, I haven't got a sweet tooth at all.
Right.
But I did not take into account how much hidden sugar is in other food.
Yeah.
Even if it says 0 sugar, it can still have maltodextrin in it, because maltodextrin is now labelled as a non-sugar.
Right.
So they use that as a filler for, like, you know, different types of food, anything like desserts. So you're thinking, actually, I'm not eating any sugar, I'm not eating chocolate, I'm not eating ice cream. Actually, mate, you're still taking on board.
So did you go round, and that's the other thing about time, is like, have you got the time? Because you think, I'll just grab that. But then you need to actually read. You know, and I think that is the thing. I think what you do almost need to do is I listen to a lot of other people and watch stuff, and their meals are quite basic. Yeah. They have pretty much the same meal every morning, the same meal at lunch, the same meal at dinner. So I think for me, breakfast is like now, this morning, I've got up, I've been to the gym, I've trained to do a few things, make a few phone calls, and then I've got back, I've had my protein shake, and that's it. So we're at coming towards 12 o'clock. I won't eat anything solid till about 1 o'clock-ish. And that will be scrambled eggs, smoked salmon, cup of tea, and maybe a piece of sourdough with that.
Okay.
So that's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And I've just been listening to that glucose goddess, and she was saying about exactly that. You mustn't have a sugar spike early in the morning. Yeah. So protein and fats are good. Fiber's the best thing to start with. So if you're having your dinner, you start with your vegetables first.
Yep.
And then your protein, and then your carbs at the end.
The order you eat stuff actually has a massive effect.
That's
on
what
insulin.
she was saying.
Yeah, huge effect on
75% it can stop that insulin spike.
Yeah.
And obviously insulin, you can't burn fat if your insulin is high. So what you need to have is your insulin low, so that you then burn body fat.
100%, yeah. And I think this is where people get confused, because people get so enticed and bogged down by calories that you're not kind of looking at the health inside. Because insulin, once insulin's released, you guys can look this up in more detail. Once it's released, you're in almost a shock state, if you like, a stress state. So you won't be burning any fat. So it doesn't matter if you've had like a really ripe banana after training, your insulin will come up.
Yeah.
You might get a little piggyback to your muscles with that, but generally you won't be burning any fat. So if you can maintain your insulin at a very low level throughout the all day, every day, that has a huge bearing on using fat as a store and burning fat. And I always say we've been like same as me. I've been, you know, the way that they've marketed stuff over the last 30 years, I've been eating over the last 10, 15 years, loads of fat-free stuff. I thought that was the way to go.
Yeah.
When actually it wasn't, because they were filled with sugar.
Yeah.
And if you look at it in a simple term, if you look at a calorie is a unit measurement of energy.
Yeah, it's the measurement. I think they did it by putting a box into water. So say you put something into a box, which was then put into water, and then how much they had to heat up the water, how much when that was burnt, the water heated up. And that's how they found the calorie. So it's a myth that people used to think, oh, I'm sweating loads, that's how I'm burning fat. You actually burn fat through your breath.
Yeah, with the oxygen state.
Yeah. So the harder you breathe, which is why I think HIIT works just as well as steady state. Because if you do a HIIT, you're breathing harder, so you're burning more fat because it's the breath out. Whereas if you're doing steady state and it's just slowly burning, yes, you're obviously burning because you're breathing deeper than you would do normally, but you're not breathing as deep, which is why I think we said before, like yogis and stuff like that.
You're using the whole lungs capacity.
That's literally the harder you breathe, the more fat you. That's
the exchange of gases.
Yeah.
That's when you're burning fat. Is in the oxygen state. Hence why sprinters working for 10 seconds, they don't burn. They're not in the fat burning zone. You know, they're in the creatine.
Yes.
Phosphate fake zone, aren't they? Because they literally for the 10 seconds they don't really breathe.
Yeah,
so they're like a powerhouse zone. So I always think about it as in if you had a car, right, and I gave you 3 different fuels.
Yeah.
One got you same price.
Yeah.
One got you 4 miles out of it.
Yeah.
The other one got you 4 miles out of it, and the other one gave you 9 miles out of it.
Yeah.
Which one would you use?
Yeah.
The 9 miles, which is fat.
Yeah.
Our bodies are designed to use fat as an energy source.
Yes. Yeah.
So you know the things like avocado, things like nuts. We've been eating these since the existence of humans.
Yeah.
But the amount of processed foods out there, mate, they are. You know,
I think it is. I think
the addiction level is, as I said, when I did the first 10 to 14 days, the missus was telling me to come off it and just have a chocolate. I was grumpy, I was irritable, I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I don't even eat anything sweet. This can't be sugar withdrawal. I don't eat anything. But the hidden maltodextrin and sugar in wraps, in pre-marinated meats that I didn't really consider because I thought I was still having chicken.
Yeah.
But it's been coated with a peri drizzle, whatever, No. So that's all got sugar in it. Mate, everything, it was so hidden. But I have to say, after a month, it became really easy because you don't crave it. Literally. Right. So you could sit next to me and have a chocolate. I do not crave it.
Okay.
And also, I think in the beginning, it was more of a, I don't want to eat that because that's not good. I think once you cut everything out and your body almost goes back to how it should be eating, when you do eat something, because on the occasion I've had like a roll with the kids, like if it had a burger in it, it don't make you feel good. And I'm like, no, I don't want that again. Not because I'm not allowed it, but because actually I see how that makes me feel. I don't like the bloating. I don't like how I feel sluggish. I'm like, no, you're all right. And I've never eaten this much fruit in my life.
But it's funny because in that glucose thing, she was saying about fruit is full of fructose, which is also a high sugar spike.
Yeah.
So she goes, well, you are still getting that insulin spike. So she said you should really try and avoid fruit as well. But if you are going to have fruit, do not blend it.
Yeah, don't blend it. Yeah,
never blend it because the bit of the fruit that saves it is the fibre.
Yeah.
So if you eat a fruit, eat it whole because then the fibre will slow down the insulin spike. But if you were to blend it and just drink it, you're literally just drinking fructose and sugar. I think
it increased it 5 times, so the sugar content.
Yeah, well, it takes the fibre away, so she said there's no... So that all made sense. Yeah. I mean, her 4 hacks, if I remember, which I'm just literally trying to do now, is nothing sweet in the morning. And by that means cereal, toast. That should not be the... If you have that big insulin spike, it will muck you up for the rest of the day. So ideally, you have proteins and fat, so scrambled eggs, avocado, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. If you have to have bread, sourdough, but ideally don't. What else was there? And if you're going to have something sweet, if you are going to have a piece of toast, make sure you have something like avocado or an egg on it. Again, it stops the insulin spike.
Breaks it
just
down,
the toast.
Makes it slower. Yeah, okay.
And there was a few things. So I've just started doing that, which I was doing anyway. To be fair, I was doing that anyway, so that's not a problem. Exercising after eating. apparently again is good. So if you've just eaten a big meal, try and move and keep exercising. Whereas a lot of people just sit on the couch, I'll have my dinner and relax.
They do say that about walking, don't they? If you go for a walk, after a big meal, reduces hugely the insulin movement.
And that's what she was saying. If you immediately after eating, try and walk, and movement is key. I always did a funny little thing if I knew I was going to eat and I didn't have any room, and people might find it a bit weird, but I always think you've got to earn your food. So I would literally do 22 burpees. Okay, 22 burpees. Oh, everyone's like, what are you doing, you weirdo? In the kitchen. But I do 22 burpees before I sat down and had my dinner. And whether that helps with the insulin spike, I'm not too sure. I know exercise afterwards does, but again, I think I always used to just do that because we'd have to go out and hunt to earn it, to eat it.
Yeah. Also, if you go, Paul, who was on it last year, made a good point. If you're struggling to look back at the cavemen and what they were doing, they didn't have any kind of resources to preserve their food. So they never had fridges or Tupperware. No. So kind of do what they were doing. They never had anything in the morning because generally there wouldn't be any food left over in the morning. If there was, it would be maybe a few berries and a bit of fruit. Yeah. But generally the morning is when you go and scavenge. Yeah. So that would be when you're in your hunter mode, going about, looking for food, etc. Yeah. And you probably have 1 or 2 meals a day, and you'd probably, if it's 1 meal a day, probably gorge yourself. Yeah. And, fill yourself up. And generally they used to eat their fruit at the end. Yeah.
And apparently, again, if you eat, like I said, in that order, you have your dessert at the end because the food you've had beforehand stops that massive insulin spike. Yeah. So, that's really important.
And I think you also get a dopamine hit from that as well.
Yes.
Because I think after your meal, your body's searching for more because we're just greedy. And if you give it some sort of sugar, even if it's natural fructose sugar from fruit, you get that little dopamine high.
Yeah. So we're also saying about if you do that, like you say, the order on which you have it is important. But if you are going to have something sweet, you can't get off chocolate. They were saying to have it either just before you train or just after, because the glycogen, your muscles will grab that and it will use it into the muscles. Yeah. So if you are going to have a sweet tooth and you're really struggling to give up whatever it is, chocolate, try and have that straight after you've trained.
Depends on how you think. I would personally go after because it's a little reward for work harder, isn't it?
100%.
Sometimes when you have it before and you think, I've had it now, I might not go to the gym, or I'll do half, a little bit. So maybe keep that as a reward at the end if you have got a sweet tooth. That's a little good tip there. What about alcohol?
Big problem.
But only because we are culturally, we love alcohol now. Yeah. And I know I've listened to other podcasts where people talk about how they don't drink anymore, and I haven't had a drink for about 2.5 years now, but I wasn't someone who didn't enjoy it. I really like to drink. Yeah. Like, as in, I wouldn't drink every day, but when I did, it would last for a whole weekend. It would be like a dog off a leash because I didn't go out often. So I know there's people out there who go, I don't drink anymore, and they don't enjoy it. And I'm guessing it's pretty easy for them to stop. I actually quite enjoy. I really enjoyed the social side, mate. After football, or we'll work do, etc., or social. That it was like almost like a social lubricant where everything, all the barriers had dropped, and everyone can just kind of talk and be themselves. And so I found it really difficult to give up. But I know you are in the process of wanting to reduce what you drink.
Yeah, I really, really want to because I feel it's mucking up. There's no point in me training 5 times a week, putting that effort in, and then ruining it every weekend. Yeah, and I've done that. It's just habit. I've done that all my life. Trained hard and drunk and got hammered every weekend.
Well, that was the culture. Even after football or whatever cricket, whatever sport you played. I don't know if it was the same in boxing, but you'd go to the pub.
No, well, saying that, we did when I was boxing at Putney. We used to do exactly that. We'd train on a Tuesday and wouldn't go out drinking, but on a Friday we'd go straight into Richmond on the way home and go out and roll in at 3 a.m. And then one day on a Saturday morning, I had the biggest headaches, thinking, it was just from sparring, but it weren't. It was from drinking a load of alcohol with. Dehydrated and it's so bad. When you look back, I think the things I did, like, I was an idiot. But I think now, I really want to quit, but I'm struggling. I'm finding it so hard.
Would you say it's because of that social aspect?
100%.
Or is it the social pressure?
I think it is the social. I think I've got into a habit. Run a football team on a Saturday. We were finishing football and then we'd have a debrief down the pub. So we'd all, me and a few of the dads, would go to the pub, we'd talk about the game. And the problem with that is the first couple of beers I actually enjoyed. I wanted them. Relaxed me, stressed, had the game, you're a bit stressed in the game, blah, blah, blah. Game finishes, win or lose, let's go and have a beer, lovely. But the problem with that is the social pressure. Oh, I've just got you another pint. And then someone else comes in the pub. Oh yeah, I'll get you one. Before I know it, I've had 6 or 7 pints. Then that night I'll crash out. It's not good. And then on a Sunday, a boy plays rugby, help coach at the rugby club, and it's exactly the same. The culture is to go in the bar. And over those months, years now, it's been years, I've built up into such a habit. It's so hard not to go in there and not drink because everyone's just Guinness. And I enjoy it, like you said.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
And I stopped for I managed to do 2 weekends of not drinking. And then we went away, and I was with the missus and kids, and we went away just to West Wittering, and we went into the pub to eat, and it felt so wrong not having a drink. Yeah. And that's when I realised this is no social pressure from anyone else. This is me actually wanting a drink, and I ordered a pint.
Do you think that's born out of habit then?
It is born out of habit, 100%. And also, I don't know, other people find it. If you have a drink, then it sort of sets me up for my food.
Okay.
Because the more I used to drink, I used to think, now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we get to the pub, I weren't that hungry, but the pint made me hungrier, and I just got into that habit. So I'm finding it very hard to stop. Although I do believe if you put a gun to my head and said, right, you've got to quit either sweet like chocolate and biscuits or alcohol, I'd probably...
Chocolate biscuits?
Chocolate biscuits would be harder for me.
Oh, really?
I reckon I could stop the drink before.
No way, really?
Yeah. I think when now there's non-alcoholic beers, I think I could still go out and be social, and that's what I've been trying to do. And I've definitely cut back. I don't go out as much on a Saturday night. I'm not out till 2, 3 in the morning like we used to be. But I still go out. It's more daytime drinking. But I am starting to just cut it down to a couple of pints.
Do you think it's easier for you to give up alcohol because you're in the other environment longer? So you're more. So would you have biscuits at home, at work?
I'd say you're right with that.
You're around that kind of space longer, in you. So if you can shut yourself off and go to the pub for a couple of weeks, it's not really a challenge.
No,
because you're not in there with the pressure.
No,
the pressure comes when someone calls you and says that you're coming for a pint.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're spot on. So that week when I'd just come out of the gym on a Saturday and had a sauna and that, and then my mate had been ringing me, oh, we're in the pub. Yeah. And then I went down the pub with all the intentions of having 2 non-alcoholic beers just to be social, and then I've ended up having 6 pints, and that's bad. And you're totally right. I'm probably at home more than I was before. I'd always be out and busy, and although I'm still out coaching, doing the football and everything else, which is 3-4 nights a week, so it is quite a lot. I still, then you're back home, especially when it gets towards winter, a cup of tea, I'll have a couple of biscuits for my tea.
Well, it's Christmas time coming up as well now, so the biscuits come out.
See, that's why, again, I respect you that you've managed to stop both and stick to it. That's the thing.
It ain't easy, I've got to be honest. I find it easier at work. I generally find it easier at work because I can just step into the next room and I don't get the cravings now. But generally, I think once you've gone past a month, I don't think you'll crave it. But with alcohol, the first 6 months were very difficult. I almost had to shut myself off for the first 6 months because anywhere you go, even if you drive, the pressure from other people to have a drink, I'll just have one. Just have one. God, just have one. And it's almost like they don't want you to stop for different reasons. It could be because they might want to stop and they can't, or it might be because they know you're going to break it. Just break it now. But it's weird because
they want you to be on the level there. I think that's more of a thing. Like, people are social creatures, and they want you. The people who are on their same way of thinking or same level, people crave that. That's when they feel at home and safe because I'm with these people. Yeah. So I think what happens with that, it's like when I have gone out and not drunk, and everyone's gotten drunk around me, I wanted to leave because by the end you're like,
everyone's on a different
repeating
level.
yourself. Yeah.
Talking well, also you think,
get the fuck out.
You start questioning, I was never like that, was I? Actually, you probably were, mate. It's time to come. But mate, I used to say it myself, go back 10, 15 years, I used to say, look, if someone don't drink, they're untrustworthy, don't trust them. And now look at me, I'm over the other side now. I'm thinking maybe, it's right. But I do find it weird that alcohol as a drug, because it is a drug, if you like, is so socially acceptable in the fact that if you don't want it or you don't desire it, people will almost pressure you to have it, whereas you wouldn't get that with any other drug. If you smoked weed and you said, I don't want it, no one would go, no, go and have one. No, have one now. Have another one now. Heroin, coke, whatever it may be.
I do think that's changing a bit. I think the younger generation definitely don't drink as much. No. I think the cultures now in England as well, and Britain, is different. There's a lot more.
Well, you don't get any old school pubs.
No, I was about to say that. Pubs are closing down. Coffee shops everywhere. There's a lot more sort of from Eastern Europe, Middle East, a lot more of that influence where they're not really big. Well, actually, Eastern Europe are big drinkers, but a lot of sort of the Middle East and that Sub-Sahara. That now their culture is more to sit out and drink and have a coffee or something like that. So I think that's had a big influence. Pubs are closing down. You're right. I think the English British culture was always let's meet up, let's go for a drink. That's what you'd say if you met up. You didn't say meet up and let's go for a run or let's meet up and go for a paddle ball.
And also the drink was always to get smashed. I don't remember anyone.
Yeah, you go to the rest of Europe. You go Spain, Italy. They drink slowly with their dinner. The meal is about the food. Yeah. England is let's get out. How many we can get down before we go out?
Get the shops in, get the cocktails in, whatever it may be. Let's see how quick.
But I must admit, for me, the other bit now I'm starting to not like is the beer fear. Going to bed, waking up next morning, not remembering things. And also, did I say that? Did I do this? Not feeling anxious. Anxiety's kicked in a lot more now with the old beer fear. So I don't like myself the next day, and I'm like, was it worth it? I just sat in the pub, we just chatted on our table and had 6 pints. And I thought, you can have a good conversation with someone, sober, normal. Do you know what I mean? It's an age thing, I think, as well. So that is the steps, and I know it, but you almost want to be hypnotised to be stopped.
It's hard to
and I would. That's something I would look into if I thought it would work. Is being hypnotised. I've even got to that stage now. Right, I wonder if that would work to stop me.
Really, I've used a hypnotherapist, and she was very, very good actually. It's not.
Jenny?
It's not like what you see on the TV. It's not like you're pretty much awake, conscious for the whole time. And she's talking to you. But
did you use it for habits like that?
I used it for something that was going on.
Yeah.
And it was. It wasn't a quick fix, by the way. This is what I've got to say. And I've seen videos of people trying to explain it, which was really good. Is when they have like a full glass of Ribena, and then add water into it. It doesn't go clear straight away. So as the tap's running into it, it gets lighter. That is basically what happens with your traumas or past addictions or whatever you've got. That's kind of it. It takes time for you to evolve into a different way of thinking, because it's all about patterns that you've set when you're younger. So you've set certain patterns and behaviours to protect yourself, and you don't know you've done it. So it's just how we're programmed. So to break that program takes time. It just can't be black and white. But mate, hypnotherapy worked very well for me. If someone's going through a tough time, I definitely would say try it. It's an option out there. But alcohol can be.
I can say I think I can with the alcohol. I think non-alcoholic drinks make a difference because you can still be social, and I think it's more not even if I don't really care what other people think around me. I mean, even when I used to go out and drink, people were drinking pints, and I'd have a glass of red wine, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" I didn't give a shit. I'd have when gin and tonics a few years back, people just started getting into them. I like that, and I knew it was less fattening as such. And again, some of your mates, you having a girl.
Have a beer.
That didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's more like you said. I still actually like the taste, and I like everything that goes around it.
Yeah.
So
that first beer on a hot summer's day, that quencher, that first one that lasts 30 seconds, because you've been thinking about it all day. Yeah, that is good. Your kids are grown up now, kind of teenagers, aren't they?
Yeah.
My kids are still very young, so I'm not at that point yet. What is their attitude and feeling towards alcohol? Are they? Is it still talked about? Do they still want to do it?
Or so my boy is just turned 16. They go to parties. Most of his mates will be smoking or vaping or drinking alcohol.
Vaping's huge, isn't it? For the young
they'll all be doing that. Like I say, he's decent at sport, so for him, again, I've never been strict and said you can't do it. I've just said, what's the point in you going out running, or what's the point in you going to the gym, training hard, getting up early, doing all that? So he's very focused. He wants to make it rugby, football. That's what he wants to make it, more of the rugby at the moment. So for him, there's no point. There's no point in going out running and pushing yourself and then wasting it all by drinking or smoking. But again, I don't want him not to go to parties. I don't want him not to be social. So as far as I know, I'm not stupid. Who knows what goes on behind. But as far as I know, and from what I can hear talking to the others, he doesn't do either. So that's a good thing. And to be honest, there's been a few times he's had a go at me. It's like, "Oh, Dad, you're drunk. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? Talking rubbish. You've had a drink." Like, and then that, I must admit, that's had a bigger influence on me about quitting and like. And then a couple of times he's actually sent me things of people who have done 100 days no drinking and how much better they feel, and that's inspired me a little bit. And time that I did do 2 weekends of no drinking and didn't drink for 2 weeks, that was off the back of him sending me
some stuff.
Yeah, like a little
really
TikTok
good,
about it, and I was like, so I think that might be the motivator for me. And my daughter, again, she doesn't even drink fizzy drinks. She only drinks water. Really and like sometimes Mrs. says, "Oh, go on, do you want to drink?" I was like, "Don't encourage her.
Yeah, if she's happy without.
If she's happy without, the
course.
longer she goes, the better." And hopefully she'll follow that same way. I mean, none of us smoke. Alcohol is the only real thing we do.
It's such a culture, as I said, such a culture ingrained thing. Most households do have.
I mean, everyone I see vapes now, so that's the one thing with the kids.
I don't know too much about vaping, but I know there's not a lot of research to.
I don't think it's good for you.
Well, yeah, definitely ain't good for you, but there's no kind of idea on what kind of ill effects it has. There's not been
there's not enough research
on it.
But I think I've seen it quite a few bits.
Yeah, there's vape shops everywhere, and the kids are doing it everywhere. You know, you see it out the car window, and there'll be like plumes of smoke coming out the car window, and you realise someone's vaping. Not good. But going back to what you said about the drink, that was the catalyst for me. Is when you said you woke up the next day. I didn't like not being in control anymore. There's a few things that happened, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I wish it hadn't happened, but and I couldn't control it. I was like, do you know what? I just don't like it anymore. That control thing is all it's about.
Yeah, I get that.
It can be embarrassing the next day. It can be
and memory loss. My memory. People used to say it when I was younger, and I was thinking that's not true. But it's more like my memory has really got bad. Yeah. And not so much just I can't remember what happened that night. It's more I just can't remember stuff in the past anymore. And I do think alcohol's had a big part to do with that.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hoodman talks about it, doesn't he? You know, you watch a bit of Hoodman, and he talks about how now the research, gone are the days where they say one drink is good for you. He's just saying, look, there's no positives to come out of it whatsoever, even if you have one drink. So the research is changing. But let's move on to, we're talking about food and staying healthy, and I know that we do a lot of other stuff, you especially as well, like grounding, you try and do that, and other ice baths and stuff like that. But for people out there who are still pondering to make themselves healthier, looking for ideas and how to do it, I always say for me the first thing, and I think for yourself as well, was your water intake. If you've got to prioritise what you can do, because not everyone can do everything. There's a limit to what you can do. You know, we're not living in caves anymore. There's going to be things that you like doing and you don't want to give up. For instance, stuff like using like non-stick pans. Not everyone wants to give that up. Air fryers, not everyone wants to stop using them. So my way of looking at it was always like, hold on. For me, it'd be the stuff that goes inside first. So we're 70% water. Make sure you don't drink tap water. Yeah, that'd be the first thing. Yeah. And then secondly, your food, like we talked about, trying to get proper food, real food.
So the things I do, so the good things that I do, it's quite a lot really now. So I think so. I now distill my water. So I stopped drinking tap water about 5 years ago.
So do you not use a filter then, or you do?
I used to use a filter jug. I've binned that. That's gone.
Okay.
So now you distill the water. So it's a 4 litre thing. You distill it overnight, or whenever you want. But I distill it overnight, and it literally condensates and it drips into the thing. So in the morning, you have it's all in glass. So I have a glass jug in the morning, and then you pour your water out of that.
So is that like free of like fluoride and chlorine and all that?
Yes.
Sort of
stuff? So what it does, it clears the whole water. It's like 99.99%.
Oh, brilliant.
The thing with that is you then cleared all the good stuff as well. So you've got rid of all the plastics, all the crap, all the nastiness that comes out of your tap. And then I just add a bit of Celtic salt.
Okay,
A bit of Celtic salt. And then hopefully I get the rest of it, potassium, magnesium and everything else out of my food.
Okay.
So which again, that's where I'm lacking. I need to up my green veggie intake, etc. But that's what I have for the water. So I have that every morning. I've got back into using my red light at night. So again, doing the red light at night, grounding. I wear a little thing around my ankle.
Because we both talked about this. We've both got artificial grass, haven't we? So
so
one of the days that you can do it in your own back garden. So.
But that's where again I love being on the beach. When I go down the coast, walking around barefoot as much as possible. Where I'm on the grass, where I can, I walk around barefoot as much as possible. But at night you can just ground yourself. It's literally it goes around your ankle or your wrist. It's on a long cable and you plug it in because obviously the plug sockets are earthed.
You earth it through
so
there.
you're earthing it through there. What's the other one? Oh, things like toothpaste. I haven't had fluoride toothpaste for, again, about 5 years. Yeah, so I've got a natural one of those.
That's really good for kids, actually. I've got 2 young kids and trying to find a non-fluoride because they absorb it really quickly through their gums. Yeah. So trying to find a fluoride-free toothpaste is really beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. And then the couple other little hacks that I use, I have apple cider vinegar, which again, that glucose goddess talks about that, having that daily. So I have that in the morning, and you should have it really before you're going to have a carb high meal. So again, it just stops the insulin spike.
Also, that's really good for delaying your gastric emptying. So if anyone's trying to shift some weight, or become a bit healthier, it delays your gastric emptying, so which means you feel fuller for longer.
Okay.
So you're not hungry as quickly. So it's really good.
Okay.
Do you do it neat or in water? I've seen people do it neat.
I've been doing it neat.
I just swig
it.
It doesn't look pleasant, mate.
It tastes weird. It gives you that burny feeling. But again, like anything, the more I've done it, I've almost become a little bit addicted to the little. It's like doing the cold water therapy.
Yeah.
I had a little break from doing it, and I've just started doing it again the last month.
Same as me.
Getting in, and at first I was like, oh God. And it wasn't even as cold as I was doing it before, but I was struggling to get in there, and I was starting to hate it. But now, after it's taken me about a couple of weeks, I'm quite look forward to getting in there again now.
Okay.
So I think it's like anything, it's facing your fears, something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Just doing that really.
That's also doing something you don't want to do, but doing it. Mike Tyson has got a phrase in it: find something you hate doing it, but do it like you love it. It's actually been shown to physically grow certain parts of your brain. Hoopman talks about that as well.
Eating the frog in it first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
that's what they said, isn't it?
But so doing something that you kind of. I remember when I first started the ice baths, I wouldn't sleep well. Like I'd be thinking about it the next day.
Oh, really?
I'd be so anxious about it the night before, and it consumed everything about me, all my thoughts. And it was like, because I was like, am I going to get in there? Am I going to do it? And then, but when you get in there, it's different. And then you think, I've done it now. But then the next day it'd be the same. It took a while for it to get off. But that's one thing I've got a fear of deep water, probably from watching Jaws as I was younger. So I know Greg does open water swimming. That is a massive, if I could bring myself to do that, is a huge step for me.
You should go to, it's closing soon, but again, I went and did it in the summer, and I can swim. I'm quite a good swimmer. I'm no good at breaststroke, so it's front crawl. So I jumped in and I did it, and you do have to do a little test. It's 35 metres there, 35 metres back. And you swim around the buoy and come back. So I did that, but I was blowing. I was like, what? And I was a bit anxious, the water's a bit cold. Anyway, I did that a few times, and then the next time I went and did the same again, and I did, there's a 450 loop. So I did the 300 metres it was. I kept just going back and forth from the little one. And my mate was like, well, you might as well just go and do the big one. What are you doing? But it was that fear of getting out there and stuck. And then what a lot of people do, if they were tired, they would just go into breaststroke for a while and get the breath back. But because I couldn't do the breaststroke, I was a bit conscious of getting out there. I thought, no, I'm not going to. Then what? I'm just going to.
It's got a wide lake, is it?
Yeah. Once you're out there,
you're out there.
So again, but he sort of challenged me and sort of, said, don't be you can do it. Like, you're making excuses. As soon as someone says you're making excuses, I think, oh, no.
That is your brain doing that. Yeah, 100%.
So I went out and I did it, and it's great. And again, back to you saying about facing your fears, the same as getting in the plunge pool, same as doing something that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. You're always looking for excuses not to do it. And once you've done it, you have a little buzz and you're proud. I did it. Good. And you're a little bit stronger than you were the day before. Same as when I remember I used to go boxing, and we'd drive to Epsom Boxing Club, and it would take an hour and a half. At the time I was living in Hampton, and we'd drive and get over. It would take ages to get there, and you'd look for every excuse not to go. And I'd 20 minutes about to go. You're going to be sparring. You're getting punched in the face, and I would look for every excuse not to go. But the next thing you're driving, because your discipline is I'm going.
It's taking over.
Yeah, and then you get there, and are we sparring or not? And then you're hitting the bag or you're doing whatever, and then you're up next, and then oh shit, and then once you'd sparred, driving home you'd be buzzing. Buzzing, did it. Again, it's just facing those little fears. And I think I've tried to keep doing that. I think you need every day, just something small that you don't want to do it. And I think what we said at the beginning about food, you're chasing comfort. I think there's quite a few people who've said it, getting old, aging is the pursuit of comfort. I've heard a few people say that, and it's probably true. Aging is the pursuit of comfort, because we're all just
want an easy life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what people and can you then fight back against that and not? Can you make things uncomfortable? Like I say, even going to get your food, don't have it delivered. Go and get it. Even if that means, and instead of getting in your car to go and get it, why don't you ride on your bike? You can only carry food for 2 days. Well, actually, might be better because it's going to be the fresh food and.
Also, it means you go out again.
Yes.
Do a walk or ride again.
Yeah, exactly. If you can do that, I think little things like that I'll try and do. But again, time, you know, oh, well, I ain't got time to do that. And you haven't, but then you need to prioritise what. But you've got time to sit down and watch a Netflix film for an hour and a half. Or you've got time to sit down for half an hour and just scroll on your phone.
Oh, yeah, you've got, the amount of people.
So it's where your priorities are. Everyone's got time, it's what's your priority. You know, I haven't got time to go to the gym. Well, I'm busy, but I've made time to do it. You know, like, so I think they're excuses by people because, you know, and it's the same with I'm making excuses with the food. I need to sort that because I know what I should be eating. I need to just give myself more time to go and buy it and get more time to prepare it. But that's down to me. I need to prioritise. And I think a lot of people, you know, are the same.
Yeah, mate, definitely. I think I had Paul on here last episode, and he was talking about doing something for your mind, body, and soul every day. So, like a workout, reading a book, and maybe meditating. So, like 3 things to win the day, you're sorted.
Yeah, good.
You know, to kind of. So everyone's got their little tweaks and little habits, but it's just breaking, mate. As I say, your brain wants comfort. Your brain doesn't necessarily want you to do something that you're uncomfortable with, but that's how you grow out your comfort zone. You know, if your comfort zone and you don't like heights, mate, you get up a ladder and come down again. You've grown that little bit there. You know, if you don't like deep water, you get in deep water. Yeah, maybe one day you grow there. But yeah, you do. You can only grow mentally through going through discomfort.
Yeah, totally.
And you know, that can be any part of life. I mean, relationships, the same thing. You know, relationships and breakups, they're very uncomfortable. You know, they hurt, they're not good. But after that, you know, people always saying to you, you know, if you don't hurt, you know, if you don't
break it,
it makes you stronger. And you don't listen to it at the time, but then afterwards you're like, actually, I'm still here. Still here, we can go again. So you have to go through that uncomfortable phase sometimes to grow. Right, last subject I wanted to talk about, because I know you do it as well, and it's been it's coming more and more into the forefront now because people are realising you won't pass away after 14 days if I'm not doing it, if I'm not eating. It's fasting.
Yeah, so I did fasting a lot, sort of when it was at the beginning a few years ago. I found out that when I ran better on an empty stomach. And I think I mentioned that before, and the one before, you know, I think Marvin Hagler I saw running and said, I always run hungry. And there's loads of stuff to back that up.
Oh, it's huge. There's huge
scientific reasons, physiological reasons, psychological reasons. For me, it just makes sense, like, to train hungry, because it's like you would have been. We keep going back to the caveman, but deep in our psyche is there's a reason we want to go out and kill, to make food to eat. So you wouldn't, if you were full, you're not going to want to chase after something. So the idea is you stay hungry, so you chase.
Got that drive.
You get that killer instinct in there a little bit more, whatever that looks like to you. So yeah, fasting definitely is good for me. I've seen a lot of stuff coming back now. It doesn't necessarily make you lose weight, etc., etc. But I think it's good for you no matter what. Even if it means you do a 16 to 8 hour, you're probably going to consume less calories. Or if not, for me, again, that glucose goddess, if you listen to how she spoke, again, you're not going to get as many spikes in the day.
Well, you've got a longer period of not eating. So, you know, if you're borderline diabetic or anything like that, you're kind of keeping your blood sugars a lot more. Mate, the only thing that causes your insulin to go up is food. So if you've got an issue with your insulin, the best thing to do is just stop your food for a bit.
Totally.
People who think, you know, we can't go long without food. There's a fella who's just done 54 days. Don't know if I've
really?
54 days fasted, mate, without food, just on water.
Oh, wow.
And I think towards the end, he was being monitored by medical professionals, and I think they told him on day 53 that, you know, you've probably got a day left because your vital signs are kind of struggling a little bit without food. But that is a lot longer than I would have thought. I would have thought maybe 30 days or 28 days, but you know, that gives you an idea of how long we can go without food. And there's loads of different research. There's more research coming out all the time with fasting. But you know, going over that, 18-20 hour period to start the autophagy, so your cells can repair themselves. You can get rid of all the
That's
dead
the bit
cells.
I want to do next. Is to do a long fast, like a 48 hour fast, something like that.
Do you know what? I did a 24 hour one. When I actually do my hair in Turkey, because airport food is rubbish. So on the way back, I didn't eat. I had a big breakfast before I left, and then I didn't eat. I think it ended up being like 36 hours or something.
That's good.
But
and how did you feel?
Felt really good.
Right.
And I'd been on a plane as well, so I was expecting it to be a bit rubbish. But actually, I was awake. I was alert. I was focused. And to be fair, I wasn't doing anything too energetic. I was walking around. I wasn't training. I wasn't running. But it felt really good, and it was a lot easier than I thought.
Okay.
To be honest with you, because I think you sleep for 8 hours a day. Anyway. So you're awake, and then if you've got kids or you're busy.
It's the dinner one. If you can skip the dinner one, I think I've gone all day. Definitely, I've gone from the night before all the way round through the morning, through the afternoon, and then I've got to the evening, and I was thinking, I've only got 2 or 3 hours left. If I can just not eat now and go to bed, I'm gonna have another 8 hours, and that'll be 24 hours. I will be over. It'll be 36, same as yours. But I caved in, and it's that evening bit when you're at home. I think if I had something else to do and gone off,
get out, I find if I get out of the house, I'll forget about it.
I might give it a go, because they do say like 48-hour fast, once every few months.
Yeah, you don't have to do it all the time, and also it gives your body a break, all your digestive organs a break, etc. But there's so many benefits to it now.
Yeah.
Mental focus and everything, and I think a lot of the time people think. The reason I mentioned the 54-day guy who done that is because people think when they're hungry, there's gonna be some consequences.
Yeah.
But generally, that's the kind of circadian rhythm if you've set for your body. So if you always have breakfast at 7 o'clock and you miss it one day, your body's gonna be knocking on the door going, mate, where's my food? It's not because it needs it to survive.
No,
it's because it's been getting it every day.
Me included, we're carrying way too much body fat.
Yeah.
So
don't need to.
I know I could last a week or two.
Yeah.
Because I have got enough body fat.
Just need water and salt.
That's it. I've got enough to. We all have. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm starving." I hear people say that.
Probably.
You're not starving, are you?
I think there's a lot of people in the world who probably are starving.
And there's people out of boredom.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's boredom,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's habit. I think the two reasons people eat a lot of food, which is overeat, is boredom and habit.
And also, going back to the food, I have this conversation with older people, family members all the time, and they're giving the kids stuff, and I'm always like, don't give the kids that. It ain't the same food it is that it was. If you go back to 1980s, whatever, early 80s, when we were eating Golden Wonder ready salted crisps, there was 4 ingredients in it: potato, salt, oil, and a bit of something else. I can't remember what it was. You look at a packet of crisps now, ready salted, how many ingredients there? There's 12 to 16 ingredients. So the food is different as well now.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of fillers in there, isn't there?
Oh, there's loads of different stuff in there. So
my biggest gripe with the food thing is, one, being able to get hold of natural, healthy food.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's so, like, you go to America, it's cheaper to buy a bigger pizza than it is a smaller one.
Yeah.
Unlimited drinks. Like, it should be.
It's geared up for diabetes, though.
Yeah, it is.
Up for
they want us to be ill.
Yeah,
it should be the other way around. It should. If they want us to be healthy and not put a strain on the NHS, and like how many people are obese and everything now, it should be the other way around. It should be healthy foods at the front. It's discounted. Yeah. Government should be putting a load of money to discounting healthy food, helping the farmers so we have natural food.
Yeah.
But it's
gone the other way. Yeah, it's gone the other way. I mean, if you look at, I know Jamie Oliver did a thing for school meals not long ago.
Yeah.
But we generally ain't serious about it in this country at all. You look over to Japan, it's illegal to have any processed food in schools.
Oh, wow.
You cannot have it. They have to make everything from scratch.
Wow.
So, and they are serious about the health.
Yeah,
so
totally.
If we
I think isn't Japan one of the people who've got the oldest generations of the people, I think.
It's one of the blue zones, yeah. So if we are serious about making our kids healthier, you need to stop with the vending machines and actually have the. Do you know, if they're having puddings and stuff for dessert at school, that's not a problem as long as it's made on site. Yeah. Because you know what's gone in it.
You see now so many kids.
Yeah, it's sad, really. It's sad because they're so young but so unhealthy, aren't they?
Totally.
But that's it, mate. Thank you very much for coming in. I thought it was a good chat and a few good tips for people out there who are struggling to maybe lose a bit of weight and get fit. There's loads of other information on the internet from experts, like I said, and professors. But it's nice to hear someone who's just a regular person who's going through it, trying to make positive changes, and you can take some inspiration from him, take some tips from there. Thank you very much for joining us. Cheers for Greg for coming in today. And cheers, guys. See you soon.
See you soon.